and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today is going to be the first episode of a new series on my channel called Try That Trope. So this came about because my reading tastes have changed completely and utterly since I started BookTube, to be honest. When I started it was predominantly YA fantasy and horror. They were my go-to genres, whereas these days I feel like I am more likely to take a punt on some stuff. I read quite a lot of literary fiction these days, which is something I've never done in my life before. I've read a couple of romance books that I've enjoyed. I am really enjoying some graphic novels recently, and I have read a few sci-fis, just different bits and bobs, to the point where I am not really sure of my own reading tastes sometimes. When it comes to the genres that I read predominantly, I'm really good at pinpointing what I will and what I will not like, but some of these other genres that I am just dipping my toe into, I tend to stick to either authors that I know will enjoy because I have enjoyed other books, or books that maybe have similar themes and similar character types in them. And so I thought it would be really interesting to put that into practice and do a Try That Trope challenge. And so I'm going to pick a different trope every month, and I'm going to pick 2 books that have that trope regardless of their genre. They could be a literary fiction paired with a horror, they could be 2 thrillers, they could be a romance paired with a fantasy. I'm just going to see books that have that trope to give a good few different things a different try, because I've got quite a lot of books in my collection that are just waiting to be picked up, that make me a wee bit apprehensive because I've maybe picked them up because of hype or because they looked good to me at the time, but now I'm unsure if I will really like them. There's quite a few thrillers on my shelf, and I am not a thriller reader, but there's quite a few that I've picked up because they lean towards like a supernaturally horror element. And so I think it would be interesting for me to read these books and to analyse what I did or didn't like about them, and ultimately determine whether or not I like that trope, so that going forward, if I'm going to be picking books that are out with my usual genres, then I would maybe be more inclined to take a wee punt on it if it has this particular trope, because I have tried and tested it and know that I already like it. So that is what we are doing. Please, if anybody has any suggestions of tropes or particular books with tropes in them that they would like me to try, please leave comments down below, because I am pretty open to suggestions, and this is going to be obviously a new thing, so I would really like your guys' input on that. So this month I am going to be doing a romance trope, because my sister is going through a pure romance kick and she is just geeking out about all these books of me, and I'm like, I don't think I'll like that, because predominantly that is my, you know, reaction to romance books. I don't like them. However, I feel like me and romance are becoming pals, so maybe I would enjoy them a wee bit more. So I have picked the trope of forced proximity for my first trope. And so first of all, I'm going to read The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. 2 people in London, absolutely skint and looking for money, and to save money they decide to flat share, and Leon has the flat sort of in 8 till 5ish during the day, and then he goes out to work because he works night shift, and so he is looking for somebody who is going to be working 9 till 5 so that they're out of the flat and they never really need to see each other. And we have Tiffy, who is going through a bit of a bad breakup and is looking to move on and move out quite quickly, but somewhere cheaply, and so they end up sharing a flat together. And then I have The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, and this I believe is at a wedding. Everybody at the wedding gets food poisoning, apart from the best man and the maid of honour, who hate each other's guts, and they are sort of forced to go on the honeymoon so that it doesn't go to waste, because they are the only 2 people who aren't sick. So I'm going to be reading both of these books. I'm going to read The Flat Share first and then The Honeymooners, because I think there's more chance of me enjoying The Honeymooners, because my sister liked this, and there are quite a few people on BookTube who aren't huge romance readers who also enjoyed this. So I'm going to read The Flat Share first, because this is the one that I am most apprehensive about. So I am 50 pages in to The Flat Share, and I am not too sure how I feel about it so far. Tiffy I find to be quite annoying. I haven't really gelled with her as a main character yet. I feel like she is very heavily like I'm no like other girls, and that just pisses me right off. So I didn't really enjoy her yet as a character. I do like Leon slightly more as a character, but there's a lot of stuff in his past that we don't know yet, and I just didn't want it to be like dragged out too long. Like, I just want to know what happened in your past so that we can move on with what's actually happening in the present. Like, I can't be dealing with this like drip feeding information. Like, we all know that is no my bag as a reader. It's why I tend not to enjoy thrillers, murder mysteries, things like that, because like, I just need to know. I'm an instant gratification kind of reader, so that might annoy me. Also, the writing style in here is no the best, to be honest. The chapters that we have from Tiffy's perspective, especially in the beginning, were very, very info dumpy, and like there would be conversations between her and her friends, and they would be like, tell me why you can't just do this again, and she'd be like, well, because da 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 da. Like, aye, very good, Beth O'Leary. Like, I can't see through that ploy for you just to get information directly into my brain. So I really didn't enjoy that. And then Leon, like when it flips to his chapters, he is like very short and sharp, and all the sentences are very short, sharp sentences. And like, like they just didn't always make sense. Like, they make sense, right? But she misses out words in order to make like the sentence snappier. And I just think that that's a bit weird, and I found that quite jarring, especially the first couple of chapters from his perspective. It's no bothering me so much now because I'm sort of into it a wee bit more, but I am not loving this at the minute, but I will catch up with these once I've read some more. Hello, welcome to day 2 of Trying That Trope vlog. So I am at page 110 of The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, and I'm actually really enjoying this. The reservations that I had run about the writing style, sort of flipping and flopping and being a wee bit jarring, that's almost just dissipated. Like, it's still the same because I've went back and I've been like, is that as like stoppy-starty in Leon's passages as it was in the beginning? And it definitely is, but for some reason, because I've got to know Leon a wee bit more as a character, like, it almost makes sense that that's the way his passages are written. I'm really enjoying this at the minute. I think I like Leon and Tiffy in equal measure, and I think that they're both idiots who are fucking up bits of their life. I don't think that they are entirely likeable, but I am enjoying getting to know them a wee bit. And we sort of know at this stage like what has happened to Leon's brother, so I'm really glad that we're not going to have that drawn out like throughout the entire book, because that would have really annoyed me. So my concerns there have also been quashed because we already know, which is fantastic. And there's like sequences in here where Leon and Tiffy, because they're in the flats at different times, are like leaving each other notes, and I don't know why, but like, see, when I was reading like their wee note conversations, I actually couldn't stop smiling. So like, I think clearly I have a shit building here, even though like there has been no suggestion of any romance between them whatsoever. But I'm just really liking it, and I'm liking that Tiffy seems to be bringing out a different side of Leon, and he feels like he can open up to her a wee bit more. I'm enjoying it, so I'm hoping to get a wee bit more read today, but no a great deal. So I will either catch up with you today once I've read a wee bit more, or I will catch up with you tomorrow, because my plan for today really is to get some stuff filmed. Of a couple of videos that I need to get filmed, which means I should spend some time editing, but I probably won't because I am my own worst enemy. And then Simon's dad is staying with us for a wee bit, and so I think I'm going to make homemade chicken curry for dinner, and I'm just going to cook a wee bit, and I didn't have the audio with this, otherwise I would listen along. But yes, enjoying it so far. I will come back at some point when I have some more thoughts. Hello! So, wee update. I've read up to page 228 of The Flat Share, and I am like properly invested. I says I wasn't going to read any more yesterday, sorry. I didn't think I was going to read any more yesterday because I had planned to do other things, and I ended up sitting and reading a good chunk to get me halfway through, and then today I'm just sort of slightly over halfway, but I managed to get read on the bus. But I am really enjoying it. We've actually not had any romance so far, so I'm imagining that that's going to sort of speed up in the latter quarter of the book. I didn't feel like it's slow burn, however. I feel like they've been really developing a friendship, so you've really came round to them and like sort of ship them before it happens, which I've really enjoyed. I haven't really experienced a romance like that before, because either like it's quite enemies to lovers, or like they just tend to like already be pals, and so then like you can sort of see that there's going to be feelings really quickly, whereas this is genuinely built for two complete strangers. And a lot of their discourse, I think I says in an earlier clip, is through like post-its and wee notes that they leave each other around the flat, and I don't know why, but I just find that to be like really effing cute. I think it's brilliant, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. The trope so far, I feel like hasn't really came into play a huge amount because they haven't really been in the flat at the same time yet. But there's been some developments, and Leon has split up with his girlfriend and he's been going back home to his mum's at the weekend, but Tiffy suggested like maybe he doesn't, and he ended up having other plans, but they've just went away for a wee night away to go on like a project that Leon's been working on. So maybe like the forced proximity stuff will come into play now, more so than it has done. Like obviously you had like them learning to like share their space, I guess, and like wee niggles and frustrations and things like that, but because they weren't really there at the same time, like the tension wasn't really the same. No, like the same as what I've experienced in other forced proximity books. But I am really enjoying it, far more than I actually thought I would, and I have added another Beth O'Leary book to my wish list because I'm really enjoying this. And the stuff that I had to say in the beginning of the vlog clip about how it was written just like is no an issue anymore, so I don't know if it was maybe just like a wee bit of an awkward start, but now we know the characters more, like it just seems to be flowing a lot better, and it's not as info dumpy or as descriptive as it was in the beginning, which I'm really enjoying. Hello and welcome to another day of the vlog. It's a couple of days later, I'm not gonna lie to you, because like it's been hotter than the surface of the sun, so just have no wanted to come and be on camera being a big sweaty mess. So I am nearly finished. I'm on page 306 and I am just so loving this so far. I really like both of our main characters, and I actually really like the way that Beth O'Leary has thread sort of a deeper themes throughout the book as well. This is going to be a bit spoilery, so if you're planning to read it then like go away when the spoiler warning goes, come back then. So we have Tiffy, who is dealing with the fact she was in an emotionally manipulative and emotionally abusive relationship, and she's suffering sort of like PTSD for that. And when she moves forward or she has a moment with Leon, she has like almost triggers memories, and she's now only starting to realise how bad her previous relationship was. And I think that's so important, because I think a lot of people think like when people are in abusive relationships, like, well, why do they stay? And a lot of the time it's because the changes happen so subtly over such a period of time, like you didn't even realise how abusive it is. And so I really like how that's being handled. And then we've obviously got the miscarriage of justice with Leon's brother and trying to get him out of prison because he's been sent to jail for something that he didn't do. And so I really like how that's being handled as well, and how we're getting things for how it is for Leon on the outside to have to support and try and keep his brother's hopes up while not getting his own hopes up too much, and then also from his brother in prison and sort of for how he's feeling. So I'm really enjoying it. I am doing sprints on my channel today, and so I'm hoping to get this completed. It has been such a quick fun read, and to be honest with you, I think I would have read it a lot quicker if it wasn't actually hotter than the surface of the sun, because I just haven't wanted to sit down and read, just because it's been absolutely disgusting and muggy and roasting. So that's where we are. If I do get this finished today though, I will catch up with you on my thoughts. So I just have finished the flat share on sprints. I'm still sprinting now, and I've just jumped away to update you guys. I really loved this book a lot actually, and I feel a wee bit emotional which, like, I can't quite believe to be honest. It was just such a great ending, and I just really enjoyed the book as a whole. I came to really love the characters of Leon and Tiffy, and I definitely shipped them. But I didn't just love them as characters, like I like all the side characters you meet as well. And I don't quite know when it happened. Like, I don't remember there being like a specific moment where I was like, I love these people. But like closer to the end of the book, there's like a couple of scenes where like everybody's together and they're just hanging out, and I felt like I was hanging out with my pals, and like I was getting their inside jokes, and like I was part of the fun, and that is just such a phenomenal feeling. And when a book gives me that feeling, like, that is just amazing. Some of my favourite books that have groups of friends have made me feel like that, and this was giving me all the feelings. It was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really loved the ending, and this is going to get spoilery again, so if you haven't read this yet and you didn't want to be spoiled, click onto where the spoiler warning disappears. So it gets quite emotional for Tiffy, because it turns out that her ex becomes a wee bit violent and is trying to cause some disruption between her and Leon's relationship. And I think that the way that this was written was phenomenal, because like it is absolutely the way that it happens. And her ex employs some people from other parts of her life to sort of give him information on where they are, and he does it under the ruse of like wanting to get them back together, and he convinces these other people that actually they're helping, and obviously they want to help because they think that it's what's best for Tiffy. I mean, even though like you could just ask her and she'll tell you what is best for her. But I found that to be quite true to life, and you know, somebody might just say, oh, like, so-and-so is here, like, if you're wanting to have a chance to chat, hope things work out or whatever. But actually it's really insidious, because that person then has an opportunity to approach the other and has an opportunity to maybe catch them off guard, which makes them a wee bit more open to manipulation and on the back foot. And so I thought that the way that Beth O'Leary wrote Tiffy and her ex's relationship to be very true to life and very accurate, at least from my experiences, and I enjoyed that. And at the end, I think that it's really good that Beth O'Leary makes a point of saying that now that she's with Leon, it's no that everything's fine and everything's fixed and everything's better, because that's not the case, but it's definitely a work in progress. And I really like that Tiffy and Leon have a really open dialogue about it, and she's like, when you say things like this, like, it's a wee bit triggering for me and I start to feel the wee bit pressure, it's not that I didn't want that, because I do, but maybe we could talk about it like this. And like Leon, when we get chapters from his perspective, he'll say like, like, it's great being with Tiffy, and sometimes I'll still lose her to a trigger a wee bit, but now I'm working on how I can bring her round. And I just thought that that was really important, because I think a lot of people think that when somebody who's came out of an abusive relationship moves on and they go into their next relationship, that everything's all singing or dancing because they're away from that person, and that isn't always the case. And I really like that Leon was as much part of helping Tiffy heal and, you know, focusing on what he can do better to support her, and it not just being about what Tiffy can do to make herself better. Like, he was very focused on what he could do to make their relationship easier, and like constantly reassure her and sort of help her when she needed it, which I really loved and I felt was a really important conversation. So I'm really pleased that Beth O'Leary had that in there. And then the ending, they end up getting engaged. It jumps forward a couple of years and we get to see the proposal, which was just perfect. And like, I could great thinking about it, because I'm so happy for them both. Like, who knew I would get so invested in a romance? I actually can't believe it, but I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And the proposal in here wasn't 100% dissimilar to how Simon proposed to me, and so like I was getting all that nostalgia feel, because when we first started dating we lived in like different towns basically, and I lived a couple hours away from Simon, and so like we wouldn't always see each other on a day if I was going through to stay at his or whatever. Like if he was getting up and going out to work early and I was maybe on the late, then I'd still be sleeping, and so we would leave each other notes all the time, quite like how Tiffy and Leon did, because like we'd be sharing the same space sometimes, but like I would travel 2 hours to go to work, and so like maybe if he was on an early and I'd get back, like he would already be in bed if I was on a late, and like you get how scheduling works. I don't know why I'm explaining it in this much detail, but so we would leave notes like that, and Simon actually proposed to me through like wee notes and things like that, a wee bit like how Leon did in here. So like that was just giving me the feels. It was cute, I really enjoyed it. And as for the trope aspect of it, I really did enjoy the forced proximity in here. I feel like we didn't get a huge amount of it, because by the time they were sort of forced together in a room, like they had pre-built a relationship through the notes, and so like by the time that they were together there wasn't as much of that like tension, I guess. But I still really enjoyed it, and I think that the fact that neither of them was wanting to rush the other person into a relationship because they knew Tiffy's relationship history, that I suppose that did create some tension in lieu of the fact that like there was already a relationship and a wee bit romance there. I still thoroughly enjoyed it though, and this is a 5-star for me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great read, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes a romance book or anybody who likes the forced proximity trope. It was great, and I'm so glad that I read this. I can't believe how much I've loved it, and I think that these characters are going to stay with me for a wee bit of time. Like, oh, I can feel myself getting emotional about it again. Like, why am I literally greeting on the internet like about a romance book? Who am I? I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. Gonna read it. So, I've just finished sprints on my channel, and I am like halfway through The Unhoneymooners. I'm up to page 197, so maybe just a wee bit shy of half. I am not loving this one as much as I loved the flat share, which is funny because I assumed that this was going to be the one that I would enjoy more. I feel like by this point in the flat share, I was definitely connected to the characters, and I was like starting to ship them, and I just haven't at that point yet with this. I haven't connected to any of our main characters, to be honest. I find them both a wee bit annoying. Like, it's definitely like miscommunication happening. Olive like properly always assumes the worst, and like always jumps to like the worst case scenario, and so she never really gives anybody the time of day. And like Ethan, while sometimes he does deserve like the benefit of the doubt, and he maybe wasn't going to say or do what Olive has assumed, like also he's just a wee bit of a prat, and there's times where like he doesn't necessarily need to make comments, but he does make them, and like if he hadn't, like there could be a potential for like a relationship to build there. So I just don't know how I'm feeling, and one of the things that I really am enjoying about this book so far is they keep talking about Olive and like her weight. Now, in The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, they do talk about like Tiffy's body and how she looks, as they do with Leon. I mean, it's a romance and there's going to be a wee bit schmexy time, so like you expect physical descriptions more so than I would maybe expect if I was picking up like a fantasy or whatever, right? That's fine, and I didn't mind that. Now in The Flat Share, like they spoke a lot about Tiffy because she was very tall, and so like when they said big in The Flat Share, like they were talking about her height and stuff. And like Tiffy was a bit of a quirky dresser, and so like if they were describing her outfits or whatever, then they would often talk about like her size and her height and things like that. I mean, she was talking about herself in relation to Leon, like they would talk about their comparable heights, and like fine. I know that people can be a wee bit insecure, and I know that like especially women, like if they're taller, a lot of guys prefer like a shorter girl. Like being tall can be perceived to be a bit of a masculine trait, and so I feel like in the flat share, like Beth O'Leary was really trying to play that down because she had her wearing like all these beautiful feminine outfits, etc, etc. Whereas in here, like they keep talking about Olive's weight, and like it's not just Olive but Ethan does as well, and it's one of the things that she doesn't like about him for the beginning, because she feels like he fat shames her a wee bit basically, and like he definitely does so far, although this is going to encroach into spoilers, so spoiler warning. They've just had like a couple's massage. Why do I turn into Sean Connery every time I try to say an S? They've just had a couple's massage where I am in the book, and she's like taking off her robe and that, and he's going to give her a massage, and she's like, right, I'm cool with it as long as you don't slag off my body. And he's like, I would never do that, and she's like, I accept all the times that you have. So like now he's clearly having a random sudden change of heart and is suddenly alright with her weight. And like it's not just like comments, it's not just like wee fleeting comments or whatever, which by the way wouldn't be fine because fuck off with that, but like it's like how I can't count the amount of times like they've spoke about her popping out of clothing, like, or like actually Christina Lauren has just written her like ripping out of clothing, like, or commented about how tight different items of her clothing are, and I'm like, right, okay, like come on now, like I get it. And don't get me wrong, right, some of these are about her chest, which like might be a sexual thing, right? All of us big-titted ladies can relate to the fact that like a normal wee thing that somebody else might wear and it might look lovely and feminine can be a wee bit on the raunchier side when you have a cleavage. So like I get that, but also like it's no sexy in the context of you being like, oh, and then like her arse ripped out of her dress because she was that humongously fat, but it's alright because she's got a nice rack. I'm not really enjoying that at all, to be honest, and if I maybe wasn't reading this for this vlog, I would have DNF'd it at this stage. But my sister read this and she really loved it, and that is the point of this vlog a wee bit, wasn't it? Because Megan was really into romance and I was trying to read some of her favourite romance books. So I'm going to continue for the sake of the vlog, and she says that there's a bit of a twist in here that she thinks will make me connect to one of the characters. She hasn't told me who or what the twist is, but I'm hoping so, because I would really like to like it, and I know that this gets a lot of love. I just can't abide like all the weight comments, and I feel like there's moments where like I maybe could. There was a moment between them in here where like he was sort of like talking into her ear a wee bit, and like she was getting butterflies, and I was like, that's kind of cute. And like he does this wee like side smirky smile thing that like I think she's grown to quite like, and so when he does that and like she's saying like our stomach lurches a wee bit and she's like, oh, like, and I like that because it's cute, like, and everybody gets all their feelings like when they just start dating somebody new. And so then I feel like I could connect to you, like, and I could ship this, like, if you just give me a wee bit more of this. But then there's like a weight comment or something and I'm like, back to this then. So I'm not there yet, but I'm hopeful. I'm probably not going to read much more of this today because I have read half the book, so I will catch up with you tomorrow when I have more thoughts. Hello, so I haven't read any more for the last time I updated you. I haven't picked up the book at all today. I was only early at work, and usually I try to be like a wee bit cheeky and listen to like some of my audiobook while I'm getting the shop set up and stuff, but I didn't, so I'm terrible. But what my plans for today are, I'm going to edit just now. I have a ton of videos to get edited because I am behind on my backlog. I'm going to edit those, maybe do audiobook on and off in between listening to myself warble. I've been listening to audiobook, so where I'm up to. At the minute I'm just coming up to the end of chapter 13. So, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read this yet. To be honest, this entire vlog is going to be spoilers really, innit? Let's be honest, because I can't compare and contrast two books without talking about the plots. But anyway, whatevs. So over the past few chapters they've been sort of hanging out a wee bit and getting to know each other a wee bit more, and like fine, grand, cool, but I didn't buy into it. And then they decided that they were going to go for a drink and just, you know, let their hair down a wee bit. Cool. And Ethan gets steaming and he basically admits that he's always had a thing for Olive and that he's always just sort of pretended like he hated her because his brother basically told him like, you can't go there mate, it's no happening. So that was a bit awkward. And then they have a wee bit of a kiss and she's sort of coming round, and like I maybe was coming round a wee bit, like I don't know, like the fact he's been pining for her this whole time, like I'm a bit of a sucker for that. Like it's total Darcy-ness, like that's what it is. And so the fact he's just been like, I really like this bird and try to pretend like he hates her this whole time, total Darcy vibes. So I was like, oh, like I could come round to that a wee bit. But then they end up like having an argument, then it's again day almost right away. They've addressed some of the body issue stuff and it seems like it's her that's been very insecure about her body and that he hasn't actually been horrible about her body at all. If anything, it maybe on reflection sounds like he's tried to be a wee bit pervy because he's fancied her, but totally missed the mark in my opinion. And so like that's still a huge big part of this book, like we're over halfway through now and that's that only being resolved. So like the fact that it's resolved now I don't think is going to be like make a huge difference to the rest of the book for me, but I'm kind of glad like it'll be out the way a bit and I don't need to read that shit anymore because it's annoying. But turns out that the brother might be a ball bag and has sort of been cheating on Olive's sister like pretty much right up until they were engaged, and so she thinks that maybe the brother has been like using the fact that Ethan and Olive don't really get on as like a bit of a blocker and a bit of a shield for him, because he can do stuff and then be like, oh, Ethan booked it, and sort of feel like escape a wee bit, and has been telling Ethan that like they had an open relationship and stuff like that, and that Olive's sister Amy was totally cool with that and she doesn't believe that to be the case. So we're sort of approaching all of that stuff getting resolved. We'll see how we go. Like I think I'm invested a wee bit more plot wise than I ever have been, because like we're getting some stuff happening and getting like a wee bit drama, which I am enjoying, but I still am not 100% convinced about their relationship yet. So time will tell. I don't know if I will update again later on tonight or if I will just sort of update you when I get in tomorrow after I've read a wee bit more. You will see, I guess. Hi, so I have finished work. Haven't read any because I used my audiobook time this morning at work to catch up on some BookTube, because my watch later was like up at 40 and it was stressing me the F out. So plan of attack, I am going to go and make some chocolate fudge, and that's really it. Make some top hats, and then I'm going to listen to the audiobook while I do that, and I will update you as I go with where I'm up to, what I'm thinking, and then I reckon what I'll do is I'll sit down at the end of finishing The Unhoneymooners and I'll compare my thoughts on the flat share in The Unhoneymooners in terms of like the trope and then just like the overall book. So I have finished The Unhoneymooners and I'm also just cutting up my fudge. My strawberries and cream stuff has set, so I'll show you that just now. I'm just going to cut it into wee cubes. and then let it air dry overnight and we'll be grand. So I still didn't love it by the end, to be totally honest with you. There's like, I guess, bits of a twist, like they get back for their fake honeymoon and they are like working out how they're going to tell like their brother and sister that they are now like an item. And while they're sort of brainstorming about that, they've decided that they're going to take like that first night back home to themselves, because they've been obviously together constantly. But like the brother and sister go to pick them up at the airport and they are like having a smooch, and so then the brother and sister like find out and it's a wee bit like, oh. And then like they're quite fine with it, apart from the brother who like looks to be freaking out a wee bit. I feel like the ending was very rushed, and to be honest with you, I feel like it was dead weird because I feel like it was all quite rushed other than their actual time on the honeymoon. So I feel like their romance I didn't buy into particularly, because it was just built up so quick, like, and it was just like instant attraction basically, which like never really does it for me. And then I feel like the honeymoon bit, their holiday where they're falling in love and stuff, like we spend so much time there that then by the end of the book when they're back in real life, like it is literally the last couple of chapters, and so we didn't really get to see how it was going to play out. And then we have this whole subplot of the brother like cheating on Olive's sister, and sort of seeing how that's going to play out. Ethan doesn't take her side, and there's like, right, I'm just going to spoil it, so spoiler warning. So Ethan and Dane and Amy and Olive all go out on like a double date type thing, and they like, Amy ends up being late, and so it's just like the three of them for a wee bit. And Ethan goes to the bathroom and leaves Dane and Olive, and he's basically like, oh, like it's cool that you're dating my brother, like we should totally wife swap. And she's like, no cool comment. And so she just decides she's going to leave because like she's decided by this point she's going to tell her sister, which by the way like is a fucking shitty storyline. Like imagine you find out that your sister's husband has cheated on her and you're like, I'm not going to tell her because I'm quite liking how my relationship's going. Fuck off, no. Like that, what a bullshit choice. Bullshit choice. So anyway, she finally decides she's going to tell her, and so she leaves. And then Ethan like chases after her and is like, what's the script? And so she's like, I'm not getting into it with you, it's fine, because he always defends his brother. And then he's like, you can't like just call it quits, like you need to tell me what's happened. So she tells him, and he's like, I'm sure he didn't mean it like that, like, and I think you've maybe just misread the situation. And she's like, what? And so like it just really annoyed me. And then I feel like their reconciliation right at the very end as well, like his gesture was cute. I'm not going to say that I was reading the end of it and was like, well, this is shit, like, because I enjoyed the gesture, like, and I thought it was really cute, like, and I didn't have a swinging brick for a heart. So like I get that it was lovely, but also like I don't think that these people should have been together, and I didn't really like it. I also have made chocolate orange fudge, so I'm just going to cut this as well. So I rated The Honeymooners a 2-star. Unpopular opinion, I know that it gets so much love, and like I even messaged my sister and she was like, you're the worst, because I know how much she really enjoyed it. But like I just didn't care about the characters enough, and I just felt like a lot of the stuff that was happening and it was quite shit, and I didn't feel like it was handled very well at all. So I was going to sit down and like properly give you my thoughts on both books and whether or not I liked the trope in the end. But I think I'm just going to do it now while I'm like finishing up my fudge. So in terms of the forced proximity trope, do I think I like it? Yes. Do I think I like it in romance novels? Because I already says earlier that like I already know I like this trope when it comes to like fantasy and things like that. So do I like it when it comes to romance? Yes. I think that it has definitely taught me that I do. I think that the biggest thing that I've taken out of this vlog is that I really enjoy Beth O'Leary's writing. I know that in the beginning of the flat share, like, I was really not too sure if I was going to enjoy it or not, and if it was going to be for me or not, but I thoroughly loved the flat share. And I've actually added, I think I maybe says this in one of my clips, but I've added some other Beth O'Leary books to my wish list after that, because it was just brilliant. And like, I can't get her characters out my head, and I know that that's the sign of a book that I have really, really loved. I think that I preferred, well, obviously I preferred the flat share to the Unhoneymooners. You can tell that by my ratings. But I think what I liked about the flat share more than the Unhoneymooners is that it was a bit of a slow build, and I got to watch these people have a relationship, so that by the time it actually came down to them like having a romantic relationship, like, I was already invested and I already cared about them. And I think what it did really good is making me care about them individually. So therefore, like, I cared about them more as a couple because I wanted them both to be happy. Whereas the Unhoneymooners is totally from Olive's perspective, and we didn't get anything from Ethan's perspective. And so perhaps I would prefer going forward, if I was to do this again, or if I was to try another book, another romance book, or another book by Christina Lauren, I perhaps would prefer it if it was multi-POV, because then I'd maybe be a wee bit more invested. So that's where I'm leaning on that. In terms of the premise, like, I feel like the forced proximity was actually done better in the flat share. And like, although, like I had says in my earlier clips, there was a lot of the time where they weren't in the flat together, and so by the time we got the sort of forced proximity in person, like, there had already been hints at there being a romance there. But I still really liked it. I still really liked them learning to navigate each other's space, you know, Tiffy trying to make the place feel like home, but like also no trying to take over for Leon. And I really enjoyed that, and I still felt like we got some really good tension. Whereas I feel like in the Unhoneymooners, it just went for these two people absolutely hate each other to like a tiny wee bit of forced proximity, to the main trope really being fake dating because they have to pretend that they are married. I don't think that having it be mere forced proximity would have changed my opinion of the book. I think that the romance would have needed to have been slower burn for me, which isn't a phrase I ever thought I would say because I say it all the time, but I'm an instant gratification reader, so like the fact that I am wanting something a wee bit more slow burn blows my mind. But I really enjoyed this, and I've learned a wee bit more about my reading taste throughout it, which is the entire point of doing these vlogs. So I am pleased. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you are reading at the moment. If you have any ideas for tropes or books that you would like me to try as part of this vlog series, please remember and comment down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!